And what do you go to church for? To hear something positive, not to hear something negative. And you get both, I'm sure. But it depends on what you leave with. Because you're told when you pray, believe that you have received that for what you're asking. Well, is that what you do? When you get up from your prayer session, or is that what you do? You walk away with it? What you asked for, you walked away with it? Then if you didn't, then your prayer's still answered because you didn't expect to. Isn't that right?
It is right. It is right. You know, and the thing is, we don't realize how powerful our thoughts, our prayers are. You know, somebody had requested a prayer request from me, you know, on the other side of the world. And I told them, I remember when, using Neville Goddard's technique of I remember when. And I said, it's done. They came back the same day and they said that they had saw positive results from the prayers that were lifted up. We can send prayers to the moon if we choose to. That's how powerful prayers are. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. There's no limit to it. I mean, you're told whatsoever. That's the potential of your asking, believing, receiving. Whatsoever. What? There's nothing beyond your control if you'll take control. But that's quite a process. Just taking control is quite a process. It's a letting go and letting God. You know what to let go and you know what to keep. Why don't you do it? It's your life, and you're told that if you'll think feelingly about things that are lovely and of good report, that's what you'll experience. Why not give it a shot? Why not think about things lovely and of good? I know you're in the world, and I know there's the everydayness, going to work and all those things. But look, you do have the time. You can find the time to sit in the silence and review everything we've talked about. And if you'll just do so, you'll see an opening, and you'll just go right in that opening, and it all opens up for you. But you have to be sincere about being still and expecting to see and hear and think what you want, not what you don't want, because if that's what you're thinking, then you only get more of it. Isn't that it?
It is. You know, I was just sitting there listening to you, and I was amazed because there's so many people putting restraints, asking people for things, and basically trying to take advantage of them. And what we're asking them to do is to be mindful of their thinking. And if they're not happy with the results, to change their thinking. But we're not asking them to do anything that they don't do anyway. Would you agree?
That's right. That's right. You know, it's like I told the woman about going to the store and going to the shelf and picking up what they want and going on and paying for it. And she said, well, everybody does that. That's right. And if everybody was aware, they'd be doing what we're talking to you about, wouldn't they?
Absolutely. I love it. I love what was just said, and I think that this could pass over. Many people say it. Everybody does do it. But if everybody was aware, they would be getting the results that we're talking about.
That's right. You got when you went and paid for the product, you got the product, didn't you? See, that's it. That's exactly the same. You do the thing you're told to do, you do it, and you get the idea fulfilled completely. It's always up to you. You're always thinking ahead of your evidence, but you're experiencing the evidence that you're thinking ahead of. Wouldn't you want to change it? I'm sure everyone here could find a reason to change it. And that's all you need, is a reason to change it. You're experiencing this, and you don't like it. You want to experience something else? Dream the dream. Dream the dream is not thinking all of it that's bothering you, because all you're doing is you're repeating it. You're setting it up. If people only understood, they're either setting themselves up to succeed, or they're setting themselves up to experience what they don't want. It's very, very simple. All it takes is your participation. You're told to think only on things that are lovely and of good report. Try it. Do it. Do a thing, and you shall have the power. And that's what you got. You're operating the power right here, right now. You're experiencing it. And how do I know that? Because God told you so. He told you so. There's only one power. Everything else is just a derivative or a reflection of the power. But there's only one, and that's the one you're given to use to change your mind, change your world. You can do it. It is doable. I know because I did it, and I was really a dummy at it, but I stuck with it. It took me years, but that was because of me. You see, you don't have to start out that way because you're hearing all of this out front. I didn't hear it out front like that. But I did hear it from Neville Goddard when he said, "Imagining creates reality." That was what I was looking for. That was exactly what I was looking for. But I didn't know how to emulate it, to actually use it, choose it, change. And you're given to change. Choose the change. It's that simple. But I didn't see it. But it was always there, just like it is for you. All you have to do is see it. And you're told, feel after him, you'll find him. That's you doing whatever it is you dream to do. Do it consistently, persistently. Wouldn't you say?
I would. And I was listening to you and I was thinking about, just the Bible and other spiritual books such as the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, and, other spiritual writings. And, we've looked at these books solely as religious books. And really the undertone, if we truly understood them, they were vital principles for how to live successfully in this life, because all of them focused on as you think you are in one form or another. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And I checked that out. I have 13 different Bibles from 13 different countries here. And so I understand that it's the same message, but it's just interpreted ass backwards, wouldn't you say?
From a human perspective, absolutely. I agree.
And so people are getting no benefit from it. Oh, they're in some of those countries, man, they're so strict on study. Hey, you don't need to study anything outside of self. Everything is contained within you. If God is in you, if Jesus is in you, and that's what he said, I and my Father are one, even as you and I are one. So all the knowledge of everything is right with you, and you're given to partake of it. But are you? It's yours. You're told it's yours. I give it to you. I give you everything, plus I gave you myself. What are you doing with us? Yeah, that's it. What are you doing? Yeah, I know. I have to stop and check myself quite often. I've gotten in a routine now over the years that when I wake up in the morning, I take the first minutes to contemplate and meditate what we're talking about. You see, man is so forgetful. That was one of the things that I understood from what Neville was saying, is that man's so forgetful. You have to keep reminding yourself, because you get caught up in what's going on around you, and then you forget. And it's that simple. You forget because you know what to do, but you keep forgetting it. Feel after him and you'll find him. Why don't you do that? That's what you're going to find what you're looking for. So if you're looking for what you want, great. But if you're not looking for what you want, then what are you looking for? Because you are making your life moment by moment, because that was what was given you to do so. And you're saying, oh, God, help me with this. Hey, he gave you choose. He told you, choose this day. What else could he do? If it's what you want, well, then choose it. Why ask me? I gave you the permission to do it. So you're on. That's it. Take care of it. Sounds kind of cold, doesn't it?
But you know what? I think that people appreciate the truth. There's so many people, like I stated earlier, that are selling happy ever after. And what I mean by that, they say, if you do this 3 steps, your life will never be miserable. You'll never have problems again. And so people do the 3 steps, and then they're still dealing with problems and issues. But with what it is that we talk about, we're saying, okay, the problems and the issues are going to come. But as you think about the problem and the issues will determine your life experiences. Would you agree?
That's it. That's it. That's exactly it. As you think you are. And you say, well, you just pick and choose what you want out of Scripture. Yes, that's exactly what I do. Because there's a lot of it in there that's just nonsense. And it is in there to be the nonsense. And that's them telling you that the devil's going to swallow you up or take you to hell and all of that. That's theatrics. That's all it is. That's just theatrics. But the bottom line is you believe what God promises you, then you're okay. If you don't believe it, well, you make up your problem, but you can solve it. All you have to do is let go and let the God that you are take care of it, isn't it?
It is. You know, if you truly understand, he says, I will never leave or forsake you. So then he's going to go back on his word, and he's going to cast you into this thing called hell. Hell is of our own choosing. And that's the thing that we have. From Genesis to Revelation, I say it repeatedly. This is your story. So if you're living outside the wisdom, the knowledge of God, you're living in hell already.
That's right. This is hell.
Yeah.
This is it. And the thing of it is, we planted it. And it's flourishing. Isn't it? Isn't it?
Oh, it's doing well. It's doing very well.
Yeah, well, that's just it. And it'll do well because you gave it life. What you're thinking upon is your life. You understand? We ourselves are creating, well, choosingly creating our world of experiencing. We were created by the God, but He gave us choose this day. So therefore, you're in the act of doing so, even if you're unaware that you're doing so, and you're experiencing what you don't understand if you weren't aware, right?
Absolutely. Even if you're not aware, it doesn't stop that you've been given choose this day. Would you agree?
That's it. You're on all the time. So the idea is that you better take your time to find out what you're doing. Wouldn't you think so?
I do. I think it's just that important that you take the time to spend the rest of your life to be mindful what it is that you're giving your attention to. Would you agree?
Okay. That's it. Of course I agree. What has your attention has your life. That's as simple as that. And that's what it tells you. It tells you that as you think you are, what are you thinking about? Sit down, be still, and see what you've been thinking about throughout the day. As a matter of fact, you'll probably have a hard time even remembering much of what you did because you weren't paying attention. Isn't that right?
It is right. And if you're dealing with mishap throughout the day, think about what you were giving your attention to prior to the mishap. Now, yeah. And I love what you often say, blessed is the man, the woman, who does not condemn themselves for that which they've allowed. And I know you've gotten that straight from Scripture. I just want to touch on that because if you realize that your thinking has been off, forgive yourself and move on. Would you agree? That's
it. That's it. People are all beating the hell out of themselves is what they say, but you're only beating it in.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the minute you start crying about it, you got it. Oh, I know. It's so it seems so complicated, and yet it's so simple because it has been made to be complicated, so that they'll try to figure it out, but they don't figure it out. But when they give up trying to figure it out and let go and let God, then they'll know what they're doing. Because he told you, you turn to me, I'll turn to you. If he's going to turn to you, what would be your problem? And he's waiting, because he's already said, I'm there, where are you? He tells you, you want to talk to me? Talk to me. Why not? Why wouldn't you? He's given you an invitation. Turn to him, because the turning is the one turning. I and my Father are one, even as you and I are one. You're only turning to the real self from this man-made self, because they themselves are makers of themselves. God's not doing anything to you. God's not denying you anything. He told you to choose, and if you believe that he does what he says, if you choose it, you get it. But be aware of what you're choosing, right?
Yes, absolutely. I was talking to someone recently, and they were dealing with some challenges, and I told them to just kind of use the phrase, every day in every way, I'm becoming better and better. And they said, I'm going to really try real hard to do that. I said, no, don't make it hard. Make it easy and passive. I said, don't even give it much thought. Just try to remember the phrase. This is not something you force. You can't force subconscious mind to make changes.
No. David sat under the tree and dreamed to be a conqueror of the world. And he did it. He thought about it, and then he got up and tended to his sheep. As you think, you are. If you think feelingly, I am that you will be. Is that it?
That's it. Any great story of history, whether you're talking about Alexander the Great, Napoleon Bonaparte, or whomever you can think of, any great leader first thought it so. Even as Shakespeare spoke of Caesar, Caesar saw it as already being a reality before Caesar became Caesar. Would you agree? Absolutely.
That's the whole thing. You're always thinking ahead of your evidence. But thinking what? I mean, look, people are sitting and thinking about what's going to happen that's terrible. Why? Because that's only drawing it right in. Think about it, solved, because you handed it over. That's it. Let it go. Let it go. All you're doing is sitting and worrying, and all of that gets you is more to worry about. Isn't that it?
It's exactly it. And the thing is, we know that what we're saying, especially when you hear it for the first time, sounds almost complicated because it's contrary to what you're being taught in the world. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. They're keeping you in contact to let you know that you need them. What you need is God, and he's right there with you. So what are you looking for? You're told that all the help you need is nearer than hands and feet, and I'd say one right with you would be nearer than hands and feet, wouldn't you?
Nearer than breathing, even closer than that. If there's a distance, he's too far away. Would you agree?
That's right. He says nearer than hands and feet. It's right with you, but you have to avail yourself of it by thinking from I am that, not I am not that. And when you're thinking I am not that, then when your prayer is answered, you don't believe it. But you know it wasn't answered. Attitude awareness and imaginational control, that's what you're looking for. And what you're looking for is looking for you. The control is with you. All you have to do is turn it on. And you turn it on because you need to practice it. I mean, if you're going to do anything that's going to be really productive, you're going to have to practice it. You're not going to do it the first time. I mean, if you have a desire to be better than you are, then be better than you are. Isn't that right?
It is right. And understand that desire is God desiring that desire for you, in you. Would you agree?
That's right. That's right. You see, he gave subconscious mind, say, a contract to make your world as you think you are. Not questioning you, not giving you any advice, not saying you shouldn't, it's not right for you now, none of that. As you think you are. And nobody can change what you think you are unless you allow them. You have to realize that ego is always trying to run the show. And if he's successful, then you're unhappy. And all you have to do to make him unhappy is not to give him any space. You know, you're told, don't have no trick with the devil. Don't invite him in to have coffee. Don't talk anything over with. Just ignore him completely. And if you can do so, do so. God told you you can do so, so do so. Otherwise, you suffer the consequences. Isn't that right?
I agree. And anytime we're talking about devil, that's that part of you that doubts, that part of you that's double-minded, that part of you that's keeping you from better than the best, lovely, and of good report. Would you agree?
Yes, that's right. You know, you said it, the double-mindedness. You're to be single-minded. If you're double-minded, that means you get nothing done. Not really. Oh, it's survival mode, yes, because you're given that. But it's as you think you are. And I know I keep saying that over and over because people will agree with it, but then they won't pay any attention to what they're thinking. For moments and hours at a time, their mind is running, their ideas. I think, what was it that I've heard, 60, 70,000 thoughts a day go through your mind? Wow. And then, well, if you just ignore it, well, you're going to suffer the consequences of doing so because it's creative, because you are thinking it, even though you're not aware you're thinking it. And that's what you're told to do, to be aware, to think, to choose this day, right?
Yes. You know, you spoke about the 60, 70,000 thoughts that go through our mind. Now, we process all those thoughts into this energy system called a body. And then for 5 or 10 minutes a day, we want to think lovely and of good report. And we say, this stuff isn't working, but you got to also account for the 60 or 70,000 thoughts that you thought negatively about your ex, for example, or that job or that new opportunity, or how rich people are. You say rich people are this or rich people are that. And then you say, well, but I can never attract enough money at the end of the month. You know, you have to be mindful of your inner conversations. Would you agree?
That's it. What were you thinking about ahead of the end of that month?
Exactly.
I get the question all the time, why me? Why this? Why now? Did this happen? I mean, well, it's the same for me as it is for you, as you think you are. Isn't that right?
It is. You know what? And I'm so glad that you said that. It's the same for all of us. And when we get off track, we also experience the results of being off track. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. God has no respecter of persons. So you're on your own as far as that goes right now. No, you're in charge. You're told you're in charge. When he told you to choose, then you're in charge. But you have to take charge. You have to feel, I am in charge, or I'm out of charge. And if you're out of charge, then you're suffering everything you're out of charge about. As you think you are. I know someone says, how could it possibly be that simple? Test it. That's what you're told. Test me now here and see if I won't open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. You don't even have room to receive it all. Come on. You're given. You're told that worshiping God is using his gifts. Well, if you're worshiping God, then you must already have the gifts. Use them wisely. Isn't that right?
It is right. And the gift, as often been said, has been that of your thinking and your speech. Would you agree?
Yes, yes. As you think you are. It's as simple as that. Why isn't it that doesn't really ring a bell in someone? I mean, that as you think you are, now if you're happy with what you are, well, great. Expand that thinking. But if you're not, then you've got negative thinking in there that you're experiencing, and it's only you experiencing it because you're thinking it. That's it, isn't it?
It is it. And it's not as your spouse thinks you are. It's not as Uncle Joe thinks you are. It's not as your boss thinks you are. It's not as your coworker thinks you are. It's as you think you are. Would you agree?
That's it. That's it. It's as simple as that. I mean, if look, people claim to be, well, I'm not religious, and you're talking all about that religion stuff. Actually, you're a thinking, feeling being. Thinking, feeling what? Because that's what you're experiencing, religious or not religious. You're a thinking, feeling being, thinking what? That's all they need to ask themselves, isn't it?
It is. It is. And I like that you brought up this. Now, because of our own personal belief systems, this is not a religious program. So no matter what your belief system is, what we're saying to you, no matter what you believe, whether you're an atheist or if you believe in multiple gods, one God, whatever, as you think, you are.
Yeah. Yep. And it was made simple because he's giving it to his children. And he wouldn't want to make a message to his children complicated, would he? Of course he wouldn't. So he made it simple. But you have to see the simple there to actually experience it. And it is there. It's there. They give it to you as secular history, but this is all history. It is divine history. Right up to this very second, it's divine history. And it's with you. And it's for you. But you have to claim it, because God is not going to tell you what to do. He's already gave you the choice of what to do. Isn't that right?
It is. And you said right up until this second, it's divine history. And I love that you said that, because I've often told people my frustration with Scripture is because people think that 2,000 years ago, God stopped writing Scripture. Scripture is still being written on each and every one of our hearts. And so this is your story from Genesis to Revelation. You have to go between the pages and find out what it is that God is saying to you. Would you agree?
It's the essence. You have the Bible, but what is the essence of what the Bible is saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not the stories, but the essence. And that's what you need to experience, is the essence of it. And you will, eventually. I don't know how long or how many times you're going to experience health and how many times you're going to experience hell. It's always up to you. Feel after him and you'll find him. You doing, being, having your ideal lifestyle right here, right now. I am that. Is that it?
That's it. So in closing, what would you say to the listener about expectations being a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Well, that's it. That's exactly, you just said it. You get what you are expecting. It's as simple as that. What do you expect? God said he loves you. Do you expect that to be so? I mean, if not, well, then you're just punishing yourself. It's all self-denial. God's not denying you anything. Believe it. He gave you whatsoever to choose from, and then he's not going to deny you. I mean, it's like you take a little kid and take him in the store with all this toy store and tell him whatever you want, whatsoever. And he picks up something and you say, well, but not that. See, God won't do that. He is not going to intercede in what you're doing to change it. You change it. Change your mind, change your world. He gave you the secret of how to cause desired change, and it's with you. You can change anything you really desire to do so, and that desire to do so is from God, so that you will understand and be on your own side. Wouldn't you say?
I would say. Sir, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, it has. It always is. Yes, it is. Okay. Okay.
All right, sir. Yeah, we'll talk to you later.